it's Marlen. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm making salsa verde 3 different ways. I'm gonna boil one, I'm gonna roast one, and the other one I'm gonna cook in oil. And these salsas are perfect for your chips, for your tacos, pretty much with everything. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using a combination of all these ingredients. I'm going to be using tomatillos, cilantro, white onion, garlic, and serrano peppers. If serrano peppers are too spicy, you can always substitute them for jalapeños. Jalapeños are a little bit more mild. When you purchase tomatillos, they come with a little casing, so you want to make sure you remove the casing and you wash them very good because they tend to be very sticky. Salsa number 1, I'm going to be boiling. So you're going to need 4 tomatillos. They're kind of small. You're going to need some peppers. I'm going to be using serrano peppers because we like our salsa spicy. But if you don't want your salsa as spicy, you always use less peppers or use jalapeños. Jalapeños tend not to be as spicy as serranos. You're going to need cilantro, a piece of onion, and a garlic clove. So my water is boiling. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do first, I'm gonna add the serrano peppers. So these take a little bit longer to cook, and I took the little stems off. So I'm gonna boil these for about 4 minutes first. So my serranos have been boiling for about 4 minutes, and next I'm gonna add my tomatillos. I always like to boil the serranos first because I feel like they take a little bit longer to get cooked through. So next I'm gonna go ahead and add my 4 tomatillos and my piece of garlic clove, and I'm gonna boil this for about maybe 7 to 8 minutes. You want to make sure that the tomatillos don't burst. So while the tomatillos and the garlic clove are cooking, I like to chop up the onion and the cilantro. So now my tomatillos are ready. As you guys could see, they turned a different color, and this is the color that you want them to look like. They're a little bit darker in color, and you just want to make sure that they don't burst. If they burst, your salsa tends to be a little bit more bitter. So next I'm going to go ahead and transfer my serranos, my garlic clove, and my tomatillos to a blender cup. I usually tend to do my salsas if I'm making a small amount in a blender cup. If I'm making a large amount, I'll go ahead and use the blender. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer everything over, and then I'll go ahead and get it blended up. I added 3 ounces of water, the same water where I boiled the tomatillos and the serranos. So I'm just going to add the 3 ounces to kind of help it blend up. So next I'm going to pulse the salsa. I'm not really going to let it go because I don't want the salsa to be super smooth. I want it a little bit chunky and for it to have a little bit of texture. So I'm going to pulse it a few times, and I just want to make sure that the serranos and the tomatillos and the garlic clove are completely blended up. So next I'll go ahead and add my salsa into a bowl, and as you guys could see, it has texture to it. It's a little chunky. If you want it a little bit smoother, you can always let it blend up a little bit longer. Right after I'm done pouring it into a bowl, the salsa is still hot, so I'll go ahead and add the onion. That way that heat can cook the onion a tiny bit. You're still going to have the texture of the onion, but it's going to be a little bit soft. I'll go ahead and add the cilantro as well, and then I'll go ahead and mix it in. That way there's cilantro and onion throughout the entire salsa. This salsa is just so fresh. You can taste the cilantro and the onion. It is spicy because I could smell it. I used 3 serranos to 4 small tomatillos. So you can always substitute jalapeños instead of serranos, or you can add just 1 serrano or more tomatillos. Totally up to you. And you can go ahead and season it with a little bit of salt. And this is salsa number 1. It is a chunky salsa. You could taste the onion, the cilantro. It's very fresh. This one here is very spicy because we love our salsa spicy. So it has great texture. This pairs perfect with chips, or you can even put it on your tacos too. Salsa number 2, I'm going to be using 5 tomatillos, a garlic clove, and 3 serrano peppers. Once again, you can always substitute jalapeños. I love my salsa spicy. In a cast iron, I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat up high, and I'm going to add my serranos, my tomatillos, and I'm going to start charring the outside of the serranos and the tomatillos. And this is just going to give it such a great flavor. Even though the ingredients are pretty much the same, the flavors of the salsas are totally different. I leave the garlic clove towards the end because it tends to burn up. So I'm going to start roasting the tomatillos and the serranos, and you want to make sure you're constantly turning them. And as you guys could see, that's what you want. You want that char on the outside of the tomatillos and the peppers. So you'll just go ahead and continue to do this until they are completely done. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic clove, and I'm also going to roast that as well. I feel like when you put in a raw garlic clove into a salsa, you can really taste the garlic. And if you like that, that's totally fine. I don't like the garlic to be overpowering my salsa. I like the flavors to kind of be pretty much uniform throughout. If it's too garlicky, I tend not to like it. And that's usually when you tend to add the garlic raw. It's going to give it that strong garlic flavor. So right here, my tomatillos and my peppers are pretty much done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add them to the center of the cast iron, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of water, and I'm going to cover it up, and I'm just going to steam it a little bit. That way they cook a little bit more and they're a little bit more tender. So I went ahead and steamed the tomatillos, serranos, and the garlic for about 5 minutes. And next I'm gonna go ahead and transfer them to my cup. And you wanna make sure that the tomatillos don't burst, because if they do, if they open up while you're cooking them, the salsa tends to be a little bit more bitter. I'm gonna add 2 to 3 ounces of the same water that I used to steam them. And I'll go ahead and season it with salt, just a little bit to taste, totally up to you how much you wanna add. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pulse it. If you want something smoother, then you can go ahead and let it go. I like my salsas to be a little bit chunky. So I'm just gonna pulse it to make sure that everything's just kind of blended up. And as you guys could see, those black little specks are the char from the jalapeños and the tomatillos. That gives it so much flavor. So when you roast the salsas, you get like a smoky flavor. It is so good. Once I'm done pulsing it, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer it into a bowl. And even though the ingredients are very similar, the salsas taste so different. They're like total opposites. They don't taste anything alike. This one has a lot of smokiness, rich flavors, and it tastes so good. And this is what it looks like. And you can enjoy this with chips, salsas, for breakfast, whatever you like. And it is spicy, so if you don't like your salsas as spicy, once again, I can't emphasize it enough. You can substitute it for jalapeños or use less serranos. Salsa number 3, I'm going to be using 6 serranos, 2 small tomatillos, a tablespoon and a half of chicken bouillon, about 6 ounces of oil, and a piece of onion. This salsa is very spicy, and this salsa is the one that looks like guacamole, but in reality it is not. This is probably one of my favorite salsas to put on tacos. I absolutely love it. So I went ahead and placed a pan over medium-low heat, and then I added half of the oil, and then I'll go ahead and add my serrano peppers. And I'm going to start cooking the serrano peppers first because they tend to take a little bit longer to cook than the tomatillos. So I'm going to go ahead and start charring the outside with the oil. So my serranos have been cooking, and this is what they look like. And it seems like it's a lot of oil, but it's really not. This salsa is going to need the oil once I put it in the little cup to blend it up. So once they get like this, I'm going to go ahead and add my tomatillos and begin cooking the tomatillos as well. So I'm going to make some space so I could add the tomatillos in the same pan. So I'll go ahead and just add my 2 tomatillos, and you want to make sure you keep an eye on them and just turn them and kind of cook them as I did with the serranos. So I'll go ahead and just cover it up. That way it starts to steam up as well. I left the lid on for about 5 minutes, and next I'm going to add the onion because the onion tends to get burned really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make sure that the onion is cooked a little bit before I blend everything up. After I added the onion, I went ahead and covered it up for about 5 minutes on low heat, and this is what it looks like. So I feel like my peppers, my tomatillos, and my onion is ready to be blended up. So I'm going to go ahead and take my cup, and I'm going to start transferring everything into the cup so I can make this delicious salsa. So next I'm gonna go ahead and add the oil that was in my pan where I roasted my serranos and my tomatillo and my onion, and I'm gonna go ahead and add it to the cup, and I'm gonna be using this instead of water to blend it up. So then I'll go ahead and add my chicken bouillon, and it's the green bottle. And you don't have to add salt just because the chicken bouillon has a lot of flavor and it's salty. But if you think it needs more, you can always add more salt if you like. I'll add the rest of the oil as well, and I'll go ahead and blend it up. So this one I am gonna let it go for a little bit longer because I do like this one to be nice and smooth. So once I start blending it up, this is what it looks like. It looks like guacamole, and it really is not. It looks like it has avocado, but it's not. It's the serrano and the oil that gives it this color, and the chicken bouillon. So every time I would get tacos and I would get this salsa, I swear I thought it was guacamole, but it's really not. It's the oil and the chicken bouillon that gives it this color. So I went ahead and blended this up, and this is what it looks like. It's nice and hot and spicy. I can smell it. Yum, yum. And I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my bowl. And this is probably one of my favorite salsas right now for my tacos. It tastes so, so good. And these are my 3 salsa verdes. And I would love to know what you guys would pair these with. I like each and every one of them. Like I said, the first one with the cilantro is so fresh. It's perfect for chips. You can use it for anything, but my favorite is with chips. The one that's roasted, I love to put it on my food like tacos or on my breakfast. And the last one that I made, the one that looks like guacamole but is really not, I love with chips and tacos or tostadas. They taste so good. My salsas are spicy, so watch out. If you don't like spicy salsas, go ahead and just use less serranos or use jalapeños instead. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video.